Hello, my name is Jack Ducard, and this is Sentinel Circle. Thank you for being here today. Please, if you like this content, like, subscribe, click the bell notification to get notifications. Comment. I read them, positive, negative. And if you're afraid or you don't want to be identified, email will always be anonymous if you so request. I'm wearing my headphones today because we're going to listen and watch a video. We're not going to watch all of it, but I want to talk about it because even though this is based in China, and it's not bad like that here, there's a bigger point. So I'm going to swap over. So this is China Observer. It's called China's Job Market Collapses, Endless Humiliation for a Job, Only to Weep at Night. And there's a point that I want to make with this video. So let's
As
go
the
ahead.
Chinese New Year holiday ends and workers return to their jobs, many are frustrated by the unusual and strict hiring requirements imposed by factories. Recently, several TikTokers posted videos showing factories requiring job applicants to do push-ups before being considered for a position. You in the back, stay down and don't move. The person in charge, bring those people in the back out here. Another video showed workers having to perform high knee exercises before being assigned to a workshop. Some workers expressed frustration, saying it felt humiliating, as if they were being forced to accept their place with no resistance. Others suggested that the exercises were meant to ensure workers were physically capable of handling long shifts that could last over 10 hours, reducing the risk of sudden health issues. A separate video captured a restaurant worker awkwardly dancing for customers. Despite the discomfort, the worker explained it was a requirement from the management, leaving them with no choice. In response, some online comments criticized the growing trend of workers having to endure humiliation just to secure a job, questioning how much worse things could get. Others remarked that,
Okay, so we're going to stop it here, and that's probably as much as I'm going to show, simply because if I recall, this video is just more of the same. And honestly, pausing at this moment, it's a restaurant and they're forced to wear goofy masks. Like, I'm going to go ahead and come back to full. I don't think it'll come to that here, and the reason for that is lawsuits exist. But this is an extreme example of the they call it the humiliation ritual when looking for work. And a lot of people, I think Millennial Steam has stated this a few times. I'm inclined to agree with that. I think that modern job searching is a humiliation ritual. And the reason why I'm bringing this to the channel is obviously men are more likely to be unemployed. Men are more likely to be homeless because they can't find employment. They're more likely to be aged out of their job quicker. I could go on and on and on and on and on. So it is a men's issue. So the question I'm going to ask everyone, you don't have to answer, but if you want to answer, go ahead. What would you do for a job? Would you do push-ups? Would you do exercises like I think they were doing the high knee touches on their hands? What would you do for a job? And be honest with yourself. I know everyone's like, I would rather be homeless than put up with that, but I think most people would actually deal with the humiliation if it meant they had a job, money, not homeless. But let's be honest with ourselves, and honesty is important on this. I know everyone's got a chip on their shoulder. They want to seem like they're the big bad tough guy or girl or whatever. But let's be honest here. Would you actually do that or face homelessness? Would you do that or face starvation? I'm going to assume that maybe 99 out of 100 of us would do it. They would face humiliation in order to get a job. It's sad. It shouldn't be that way. But I think that that's what it's going to be. And the reason for that is because people don't want to starve. People want to be comfortable. And a job, as humiliating as it may be, would at least provide something. You know, granted, if the unemployment paid more than the job, obviously everyone would pick unemployment. But, you know, if it was a choice between starvation and not starving, I think people would pick a job any day of the week. And that in itself is a problem. I understand that there's no alternative, but that is the inherent problem because it encourages this. These guys know, and I'm going to take a sippy sip of my water, please. These guys know they can get away with it. And when I mean these guys, the managerial class, the managers, they can get away with it. They can get away with forcing the applicants because at the end of the day, if the applicant doesn't pass, that's it. They're gone. You know, and management's not going to say anything. Come on. Is the state going to say something? Probably not. You know, and I know, again, I did China, and China's like an extreme example in every example. But let's play this. Well, let's war game this out. Let's play this game in an American context. What is humiliation? Well, humiliation is applying for 1,000 jobs and getting 3 callbacks, and all 3 of them ghost you after the first round. A humiliation ritual is, you know, looking for a job and the job is a ghost job. It's not going to exist, or they don't want you. You know, 20 years experience, entry level, $15 an hour. And you need to have a PhD. That's humiliation. You know, people don't want to be humiliated. People want to be treated with respect. The problem is no one's treating anybody with respect currently. Nobody. You know, and I gotta be honest with you. My question here is, where's the line? Everybody, I hate this saying, really, I hate it, but everybody's got a price. You know? But where's the line for everybody? Like, do they have to take you to the restroom and make you clean up the nastiest restroom you've ever, like, would you do that? You know, because there are people that get paid to go clean that nastiness up. Some of them are paid dirt wages. You know? I just think that we're at a tipping point. Everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. I mean, when COVID happened and the first stimmy checks came out, there was that news article about how the employer was demanding that everyone who worked there give up their stimmy checks to them. As if, like, they were entitled to it. Like, yeah, granted, you know, that hit the news and they ate it hard. But the problem is now the precedent's been set. You know, all it takes is for people to have permission, and then they take that mile. There's a reason why we say give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And it's more like 20 miles, but sure. You know, like, could you imagine if Amazon started demanding potential employees do push-ups and sit-ups. And I think we talked recently about no, we didn't. We'll have to talk about the Amazon employees who are falling over, croaking because they can't handle the heat and not being able to drink and not being able to take a restroom break and all that stuff. And like that's in the job where you're timed. Like that's how they justify it. You're timed. And there's 2 restrooms on the entire factory floor, and one of them's out of order. So you gotta urinate in urination bottles. How is that any different from doing push-ups to get a job? I guess at that point you're getting paid, so it kind of lessens the blow. But like, is that measly paycheck worth your dignity? Is the potential of getting that measly paycheck worth your dignity? I don't know. Like, a part of me wonders why are we doing this to ourselves? I mean, I know people got to work, people got to eat, but like, I constantly see videos, talking about this, talking about the humiliation at work, the we get rid of Brenda, so now I got to work Brenda's job, but I don't get Brenda's pay on top of the responsibility, and then if I don't perform, then I'm out. And what do? You suck it up? Well, yeah, you're going to suck it up because you need the job. You don't have another job lined up, and a lot of people are not finding jobs right now. Is anyone sick of this yet? I mean, I know I am. I know you nice people are. But like, I guess really my question is, what are we going to do about it? Do we just sit here and complain about it? Well, I mean, we're kind of already doing that. We're probably still going to do that. And that's fine. But what else can we do? These are questions that we got to ask ourselves every single day. We're constantly weighing the cost versus benefit of every single job, and most of us are saying that, like, even if we were being forced to do push-ups, it's better than some of the other possibilities like homelessness and starvation. But God, it's embarrassing just thinking about how you have to do push-ups and freaking knee kicks or whatever that exercise is, just so you can feed yourself at night. You have to wear goofy masks and do humiliating dances, like this all night long. I feel for these people. They're just trying to get by, and this is the kind of stuff that they're forced to endure day in and day out. God dang it. And then people wonder. I'll tell you the story. I went to IHOP the other night because I had a nasty craving for pancakes. I'm a sucker for pancakes. Can't stand waffles, but I love pancakes. Anyways, we get to this IHOP, and it's myself and my guest, and there's a guy that was in front of us. And he turns to me. He's like, "You're probably going to be waiting a while, because nobody wants to work." He's an older guy. And he scoffed at the whole nobody wants to work thing. And it's like, work for what? You know? And then the waitress, she came out and she's like, I'm sorry, it's cash only right now. My credit card machine's down. And I'm thinking to myself, God. And it was late at night too, you know. There's only like five tables there, and the two groups would have been seven. I had enough cash. The dude wanted to, like, he just came from another IHOP and the wait was like over 2 hours long or something like that. This poor lady, she's an older woman. And it was her, there was one other waitress, and the cook. And you know they ain't getting breaks, you know. They gotta maintain everything. My question is, why does IHOP need to be open 24/7? So that way my fat rear can go get pancakes at midnight? I know that those people have jobs, and thank God, but like, the one lady was a manager. There's really no reason for her to be there. They really should just close at 10 and be done with it. They're like, having 5 tables is not worth it. You know, you're not losing business because the business, you know, is shut down. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. But the point of the story is the guy complaining about how no one wants to work, and like, it really bothered me. You know, because I know, okay, yes, there's lazy people. Fine, whatever. Let's establish that. Let's make peace with it. There are lazy people. But I guarantee you that there are more people out there who want to work but just don't see the point in it when they can sit at home and collect a check. See, I used to be not like that guy, but I used to be one that, you know, I don't want to earn a welfare check. I want to earn my money. The older I get, the more I'm like, why? What's the money's money at this point? You know, everyone says, well, you value it more when you earn it. And I'm like, do you though? Because I don't, if anything, I look at my paycheck and I think to myself, that's how much my time is worth. You know, and I'm paid better than average. Okay? I'm paid better than average. I make a lot of money. Not 6-figure amounts, but, you know, a decent amount for my living situation, my situation. And I think to myself, you know, I could do so much with the time. You know, because at the end of the day, all paycheck represents is how much you sold your time for. You know, and I don't care what anybody else says. When you earn a paycheck, you're selling your time to earn that money. But it's no longer that way, because it's about selling your dignity in some cases. You know, you're like, let's take a fast food employee. Okay. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many times I go into a fast food, and I'm sure all you people have seen those videos where the fast food lady is getting stuff thrown at her. You know, she's constantly getting screamed at by, let's be honest, adult toddlers for things beyond her control. I mean, how many videos have you seen where the Burger Clown ice cream machine is down, and those people are screaming, I want ice cream, I want nuggets, blah, 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 blah. That, to me, is the humiliation. Because now your uniform's dirty, you're screamed at, your face is plastered all over social media when you didn't ask for that. You know? let's take the Marta Walls. You know, like I this one really bothers me. I'll tell you a story. As I've stated in the past, I am or was I keep forgetting I changed jobs. I was a vendor for the Marta Walls. And in this particular instance, I was in Northern California. This girl, she's got, I don't know if you know, but when you see someone with a yellow name tag, and I don't know if it's like this for every store, but at least in Northern California, you see someone with a yellow name tag, they're underage. Okay? And that's so that way the managers know, hey, that person can't sell alcohol by law. That's really what it boils down to. They can't sell tobacco, even though in California you're not allowed to sell tobacco in a place that has a pharmacy, but you're not allowed to sell controlled substances like alcohol, tobacco, cough syrup, Sharpies, that kind of stuff. And yes, they ID you on Sharpies, believe it or not. Damn kids getting high off of that. Anyways, so I knew this girl. She's a very sweet girl. Very nice, very bubbly. And I'm watching as these two older ladies are saying, come here, girl. Come here right now. Ring my stuff out correctly. And this is self-checkout. And the girl is on freaking... she's about ready to burst into tears. And this was pre-COVID. Not post-COVID. Not during COVID, but pre-COVID. You know, these two bitter old ladies just screaming at this girl. You know, I was in another store. I won't name the store for obvious reasons. I was fixing the cash register at the customer service center. Okay. During the holidays, they allow the customer service. No, not. I'm going to take that back. They didn't use them as regular registers. They still use them as customer. Anyways, they had two customer service registers. One was down. There's a long line. It's because of pickups and all that stuff. And this guy, he's like, why can't you open up the other register as I'm sitting there working on it as it's broken? You know, it doesn't dawn on him that, hey, maybe there's a reason why the other register's not open. No, the instant reaction is they are lazy. They're whatever. They're not, they don't care about the customer. So I can't blame anyone for not wanting to work in that kind of environment, especially if they're able to get some kind of check from the government. I can't blame them. I can't belittle them either because, like I said, I was an outside observer. And then during COVID, I was dragged into it. You know, even though, like, I wasn't an employee, I was treated like an employee and I was treated like dirt. The only difference is those people weren't my customers, so I got to treat them like crap. And it was fun to tell them to go stuff themselves. And, they're like, I want to speak to your manager. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you because you're not my customer. You're a moron. But I digress. I can't blame anyone for not wanting to degrade themselves. I mean, all people want is to be treated with respect and to be treated with integrity. That's it. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say that people would work for less if they had those two things, but people would be more willing to work some of these. I don't want to say lesser jobs. All jobs are important, but they would be more than willing to work for some of these jobs that require a customer facing position. Let's put it that way. It's that way with retail banking. It's like that with any kind of job where you have to face the customer. And people, look, I know the argument. People are saying that automation is happening because of the $20 an hour minimum wage. That's not really why. Okay? That's not why. I work in automation, and the number one thing that people say is they're tired of dealing with the public. The machines are infinitely patient, and they, as long as they work, they work. You know? The future in this case is automation, simply because people don't want to work customer service jobs at all. That's really what it boils down to. And where people notice the whole no one wants to work is always customer service jobs. There's never a shortage of like plumbers, of electricians. Well, back up. There is a shortage of those people too, but there's not as a shortage as customer facing positions. Okay? Like, because at the end of the day, they can pick and choose their jobs, especially the tradesmen or the journeymen and the masters. They can pick and choose their jobs. You know, if you work for a giant company, you kind of don't have a choice. They'll take whatever money they want. It's fine. I work for a bigger corporation. I don't have a say. And quite frankly, some of my customers are jerks. I don't like them. You know? And I have to really watch what I say to my customers, who happens to be the customer-facing people that is crapped on all the time. The only difference is I see the fallout from the other side. You know, they go into the break room, they cry. You know, they cry, they sit there and go, oh, God. You know, some of them, they'll go into the car and just like, ah! You know? And I've heard some of the stupid freaking things that, you know, the ignorant public has to say. You know, there was one incident where, again, I'm not going to get too far into it, but this explains kind of what I'm trying to say here. So in certain industries, when there's money involved, you have to have two sets of employees' eyes on the cash at all times. And when they're doing that, they're not allowed to talk to anybody, not even to me. They're not allowed to talk to anybody. So when a customer comes up and there's only the two of them up front, they have to say, I'm sorry, sir, we can't do anything. So this guy, he comes up, he wants a notary. The only person in the store that could do the notary was part of the dual control. And the guy got mad because he wanted the notary. He's like, well, can't you just help me? It'll take 5 minutes. No, it's not going to take 5 minutes. And there's tens of thousands of dollars sitting in a bucket that you can't see. They have to watch me do my job while I'm touching the money. They are not allowed to interact with you. But because he doesn't know that, and it's not his fault that he doesn't know. It's not his fault because he doesn't work in that environment. He doesn't know. But because he doesn't know, he thinks it's just them being horrible to him. And he's going to go onto Google, write a bad review. In fact, I've seen the bad review. You know, and that's fine. They don't care about bad reviews, whether you think they do or not. They really don't. If you want to mess with those people, you find their company's website and you leave a review there. They'll find it that way. I digress. But there's a reason for everything, and it may not be obvious. Okay, so I'm gonna start wrapping up here. Final thoughts. We're gonna start doing final thoughts here. I'm gonna try and remember to do that every single day. When it comes to employment, it's, as Thomas Sowell said, there's no solutions, there's only trade-offs. Okay? If you really feel like you're being treated horribly, find a way to get out. Okay? And honestly, you should always be ready to leave at any time, because we have seen time and time again that they'll let you go like that. There's always a double standard. We have to give them 2 weeks notice, but they can let us go at any time when it benefits them. They want to treat, everybody like family. But when we need to take care of our actual family, then it's a problem. Raymond's thoughts and mind makes a good, compelling argument that W-2 employment is done. And I don't think it's done per se. I think in his world, it's done. In my world, it's not. And that's where I will disagree with him. And it goes back to the whole, how do I want to say this? My experience may not be your experience may not be my experience. But in my world, you have to have W-2 employment because our customers do expect a level of trust that can only be provided by W-2 employment. You can't get that with 1099. But at the same time, I understand why people feel that W-2 employment is done. I get it. I completely understand it. I respect it. Contracting is going to be the way of the future. The problem is contracting as people know it and contracting as what it should be are two completely different ends of the spectrum, i.e. Uber and Lyft. You're reliant on their platform to work, and it's, when you really break it down, it's actually below minimum wage. Simply because, no one really calculates the whole wear and tear on your vehicle and time waiting and all that stuff. But don't do it just to do it. If you have a goal in mind, and we'll talk in the future about purpose, goals, that kind of thing. But if you have a goal in mind, then by all means work a dirt job. If you feel the dirt job's going to help you, do it. Okay, but at the same time, don't degrade yourself. Okay, there's constantly stories about how these Karens, they're like, unpaid internship. Yeah, I would be fortunate to have that opportunity. No, we don't live in those times anymore. You pay us. If you make us write you an applet as a test, well, then you better pay us for the time. If you want us to do a practice shift, well, no, you pay us for that time. You're not getting free labor from us anymore. You're not going to humiliate us anymore. And here's the thing is, my friends, if you have a group, and I mean a group, you can push back on this. An individual can't push back on this. You saw how many people were doing push-ups and all that stuff. If all those people said, no, we're not going to do it, the company will change. The problem is we as individuals are not organized. But if we get organized, we could push back, and push back hard. Pushback is not pretty. It can be very ugly in certain circumstances, but it does work. Anyways, those are my final thoughts. If you enjoyed my content, please like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, so that way you know when I'm posting my wonderful content for you to consume. I can't say that with a straight face. No, but seriously, I do appreciate you watching me. I know there's a lot of content out there on YouTube and other websites, and I'm very privileged and honored that you chose to spend your time here. Your very limited time. I appreciate it. I respect you for it, and I like you for it. If you have something you want to say, please, by all means, say it. I read everything. I will comment as much as I can. Obviously, when the channel gets bigger, I'm not going to spend all day commenting. If, in the future, things get very big, we'll start cherry picking comments, but as of right now, all comments will be posted. We'll talk about it. If you want, email me. You can remain anonymous that way. I love your stories. I love your comments, good and bad. I take criticism. I take all of it. And again, if you feel my videos can help someone, anyone, share them. Share them. Because at the end of the day, we're here together, whether we like it or not. We might as well help each other out when we're down, when we need help. Anyways, have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye.